Welcome back to r/Neighbors from Hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors. And if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, "Today I totally screwed up by letting a neighbor into our apartment." Our next door neighbor, who is 68, recently lost her spouse. I felt sorry for her, so after talking to her in the hallway, I invited her in. She's been going through a lot, so I would talk with her from time to time and had her come over a few times the past week. I also helped her get groceries once or twice. It seems as though my altruism got the best of me. However, my girlfriend was suspicious about this older woman, rightfully so, whilst I trusted her and genuinely wanted to help her. After discussing things she was going through, I wanted to help her see a social worker and get better. Yesterday, as she was sitting on the couch, she asked me if she told me the bedroom situation. I casually replied that I had not.
"Oh well, there's bedbugs."
I was shocked. Here she was sitting on our couch telling me she had bedbugs in her apartment. She claimed that her husband tried to steam them away and used chemicals but stopped because he
didn't like the smell.
I was mortified and realized that earlier that day, while she was in my car, I had seen a bug crawling on her and just assumed it to be a run-of-the-mill insect. It was a bedbug, brown and tiny. Ugh. She asked if she could show me the problem and I agreed, now quite sickened and worried about bedbugs infesting our apartment. Her apartment seemed a bit messy, but considering she is an artist and her husband just passed away, I paid it no mind. I never saw her bedroom, however, and was completely disgusted. There were brown blood and excrement stains from the bedbugs everywhere, including the walls, bed and the many piles of laundry laying on the floor, as well as the hampers. Filthy. And I saw the bedbugs crawling around. I got the F out of there, making sure I didn't have any on me. She said they have tried cleaning them for years, but it seems to have gotten worse. I am appalled that our apartments never noticed this during our inspections. Of course, later that day, after my girlfriend got home from work, we found 2 bedbugs on the couch and upon further inspection, a bedbug in our bed. I let the apartment management know right away the next day. They were already closed, they are sending an exterminator. I also need to figure out if they are in my car or not, and in that case, I need to figure out if that is an exterminator issue or something that can be mitigated on my own. I am still creeped out by every itch or any piece of lint I feel on myself. How she lived with them for so many years is beyond me. They might have to fumigate our entire apartment building due to her negligence. Edit, the worst part is that my girlfriend and I had a few people over and I have stayed at a friend's house, so we could have potentially spread the problem. We've been sending out texts and it feels akin to, "Hey, you might want to get yourself checked out." Further edit, exterminators ransacked our furniture, checked out our entire apartment, no sign of bedbugs, so if we only found a few and they could find no signs, most likely they are there as a direct result of her bringing them in. Who knows, at least they have experience with treating bedbugs. They will still treat our apartment for bedbugs in a few days. She lives 1 unit over and across the hall. Our management better communicates with our neighbors so that there is full transparency, because I would want exterminators to check out and work on every one of the building's apartments if I was them. Hate to be conspiratorial, but apartment management might have tried to cover this up once they found out and only treated her apartment. She is moving soon and couldn't have covered this up, so as people have been saying, there may be a silver lining. Also, I am glad this lady will be rid of the bugs, at least I hope. Seems like it will be really hard to get rid of them. If the neighbors don't know, then I will tell them all. Exterminator said it is up there with the worst cases he has seen, as it has been an issue for several years. Also, I reached out to senior social services thanks to the advice of fellow Redditors. I honestly didn't think this was a possibility, but I am glad I am now aware. This lady is clearly troubled and I don't want to sit idle by. It is just that her problems are bigger than what I can handle. She probably will be billed for this and won't be able to pay for it, but that is outside my control. Social services will still help her. I will keep you posted with extermination results both in our apartment and my car. Thank you for all your advice and condolences. Update, I got sad news and feel really awful. The apartment is going to charge her for mandatory extermination, which I doubt she can afford. I also doubt I could afford it. We will see how much the fee is. It is going to ruin her credit if she cannot pay. This is upsetting to me, but it is something that is outside of my control. I had to tell the office. They at least promised they won't immediately evict her. Saw a lot of those posts and would be very sad if I caused that to happen. The leasing office says that it is mandated for us to report bedbugs to the office in the lease, which is clearly something she and her late husband failed to do, maybe out of fear. Ironically, it is now going to cost her. It is really quite tragic. Again, she would have gotten found out in a few months and gotten charged for it after she moved, so it would ruin her credit history regardless. It can be in the thousands of dollars for an infestation that is this bad. I really hope social services can help her in ways that I cannot. I still feel guilty. I hope that at least her bedbugs will be gone. It is just an all-around very sad situation. There just isn't any feasible way for me to help her all by myself, in my opinion. I also hope that her church can help her. I am pretty lost right now. Also, the leasing office told me to stay away from her. It is just really sad. Another edit, our apartment made us get renter's insurance. It is really cheap, hopefully it will cover it. It is through my car insurance, so I forgot. I hope she has renter's insurance too, because our apartment did mandate it. I hope her already difficult life is not ruined by this. Update. And they actually made a GoFundMe, which is awesome for the woman. Hey guys, thank you for all the support over the past few days. We have been cleaning and preparing for the exterminator. The apartment is not going to charge us, but will charge Deborah, our neighbor, for her personal treatment. Fees are estimated at $400 per treatment, and she will probably require multiple treatments. They will also notify the neighbors and have their apartments inspected. The management is really nice and wants to donate to the GoFundMe. I am starting it off with a $50 contribution. I would really appreciate it if you could contribute what you can. Thank you so much. I will keep you updated with what happens in regards to social services helping her and disclose what I can. I hope her situation improves. Thank you, Reddit. I will not forget this. You helped us get through a difficult time. And as you can see guys, another awesome story of Reddit helping people. However, I am curious, did you ever have bedbugs in your own apartment? And if so, what did you do to get rid of them? Did you contact any professional services? Let us know in the comments. And by the way, if you are new here, I really appreciate that you are watching my videos. However, it would be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel to not miss any of my amazing daily content. Thank you so much in advance, and now let's move on. And the next one is titled, Am I the jerk for not allowing my disabled neighbor to park in my driveway and getting her car towed despite the previous owner allowing it? I bought a house a few months ago and moved in last month. The previous owner was a friendly old man that could no longer live alone, so he decided to sell and move in with his daughter. Just to be clear, I put disabled in quotation marks because the lady in question is just really overweight, and I'm not sure if that counts as disabled. Now, apparently he had been allowing use of his driveway to his disabled neighbor lady, largely because street parking is extremely limited, and what little street parking there is pretty much instantly occupied. What I am saying is, unless you have a driveway, you end up having to park a good 5-minute walk away, and that is the best case scenario. Obviously, I was unaware of this, so I was surprised to see a large SUV parked in my driveway when I moved in. I ended up having to knock on several doors asking whose car it was because the movers could not stand still on the busy road too long. I figured out it was the neighbor's car, so after a good 10 minutes of knocking, an extremely angry, enormous lady opened the door. I told her to move the car and she immediately started arguing that the neighbors said it was fine. I told her he moved out, I moved in, and no, it is not fine, and to move it because the movers need to unload my stuff. She begrudgingly did. I ended up seeing her walk back half an hour later, completely wet with sweat. Now, a few days later, I went back to work and lo and behold, the SUV is parked in my driveway again. I go over there again, spend 20 minutes knocking on the door before this lady opens the door, again visibly angry. I tell her to move her car, my driveway is not public parking, she protests saying her ankles cannot take walking the distance and claims I can easily walk. I tell her that while that might be true, it is my goddamn driveway and I want to park there myself. Again she moves her car, again I spot her half an hour later, drenched in sweat, making her way home. Well, it happened again a week ago and this time she would not open her door. I got tired of it and had her SUV towed. She of course came to my house to scream at me. I told her to get the hell off my property. A few days later I had a small fence installed with a lock on it to make sure it did not happen again. I have since been getting dirty looks from her and one other neighbor, and when I told my mom, she told me I should be nicer to people. I do feel sort of bad too, she clearly struggles with the walk after all. And guys, I would love to hear your opinion. Do you think that OP is the a-hole in this story or not? Let us know in the comments. And a user in the comments said, not the a-hole, plain and simple, she should get a handicapped spot designated for her if it really is that much of an issue. Then OP answered, I'm not sure how that works, but I honestly doubt her situation would entitle her to that. And then another person said, not the a-hole, and I do think she might qualify for disabled parking in front of her house. She could have physical problems that started with obesity, her ankles truly may not be able to handle the long walk. She can solve her own problems. And another participant said she could also have obesity due to physical problems, not that it is a reason to become obese, but depression from disability in tandem with the inability to move properly could have gotten her to the obese state. Obese and handicapped or not, she sounds entitled. Those don't give her a reason to be rude and the right to demand help from others. And the next one is titled Revolution Against Our HOA. My wife and I moved into a 64 townhome community that was 10 years old at the time. The HOA board was comprised of 5 members that were original homeowners when the community started and had been the sole board members since the community started. Their sense of entitlement was absolutely crazy. They thrived on their quarterly walkthrough of the neighborhood as they would write up every single home for some kind of violation regardless of how minor the offenses were. Everyone gets a violation letter. Our first letter, the first month living there, was that our garage door paint was starting to peel. It was a 2 cm scrape where the panels met. It needed to be repainted, the siding needed to be power washed, there was a patch of green moss behind a bush. And the sliding door on the deck was dirty, there was dirt on the bottom of the door from recent rain and it needed to be washed. We had 30 days to fix the issues or beginning accruing a fee of $25 a day until they are resolved. I asked around and everyone gets these ridiculously petty letters every quarter. No matter what you did to maintain your townhome, you were going to get a letter about something. As this was going on, none of the major items the neighborhood needed fixed were addressed. After a decade since the construction, the ground had settled unevenly and many homes had standing water issues where it wouldn't drain after a storm. The rainwater would sit for 5 to 7 days in people's lawns. And more importantly, there had been a legal fight with the town since the community was started about our road being dedicated, meaning the town was responsible for snow removal. Our HOA dues included paying for our own snow removal, which we shouldn't have to, and we were paying an attorney for 10 years to fight this with absolutely no resolution in sight. Fast forward 2 years and a few of us had enough and decided to band together to replace the board at the next annual meeting. The existing board got wind of this and hit us all with pages worth of issues with our properties, since if you have outstanding issues you are not in good standing with the community and thus cannot run for a board position or even vote for those running. This petty move brought the community even closer and we all spent the weekend before the meeting helping each other clean out their HOA honey-do lists. We took pictures, documented everything, and then we had the US mail certify delivery of each packet with the completed list and photos to the HOA board, who lived 75 feet away. Come board night, oddly enough, the lawyer was there to give an update that no progress has been made with the township on dedicating our road. He stuck around as we moved to the elections for the next board. We brought our signed petitions to add our names to the ballot. The board says we are not eligible as we all have outstanding issues with our property. We call BS with our receipts from the post office that they received our completed lists with documentation. They reply that they haven't reviewed them yet. We tell them that is not our problem and we are in good standing. The lawyer overhearing this states we are eligible to be on the ballot if we can confirm the issues with our homes were resolved prior to the meeting. The HOA president glares at the lawyer, but the lawyer just shrugs, saying, "The rules are the rules." With the exception of the 5 existing board members voting for themselves/each other, we are voted in nearly unanimously to replace them. I lead the revolution because I was tired of the petty BS when there were real problems in the neighborhood. Sadly, the rest of the elected board members vote me as president. I have no idea what I'm doing, but we spent the next few sessions removing all the dumb violations from most of the neighbors. We went through the bylaws to really focus on what is important. What happens next? Ends up that lawyer was a friend of the previous president and was in no hurry to resolve anything as he was enjoying our excessive bill. I notify him if it is not resolved in the next 6 months, we are finding new representation. He was actually good at his job when pressed to do it. He won the case, the town appealed and tried to drag it out. He fast-tracked the appeal as it had been going on for 10 years and we won the appeal too. The town dedicated our road and then the lawyer pressed that it should have been done years ago. It wasn't him slowing things down, but the town. He ends up getting us a settlement from the judge for back pay on us paying for snow removal that the town was responsible for. We ended up using that settlement to have French drains installed across much of the community to clear the standing water issues. With the money left over, we fixed a lot of the neighborhood issues that the HOA should have been doing the whole time. Fences and sidewalks in disrepair, replaced dead trees and shrubs, etc. It was great getting all that done without having to hit our capital reserve fund. I remained president until we moved a few years ago. Our family began to outgrow the townhome. Now we live in a new, larger development with a new HOA. I was asked to run for a position on it. I replied, not a damn chance, but I will lead a coup d'etat if I need to. Edit, as to the original HOA president, 50-year-old male, he wasn't actually eligible to be president, he was not on the mortgage. The townhome was in his mom's name, no one knew because he held the books. So, being the vengeful leader at the next annual meeting, I wait until ex-president shows up with his petition to try and get his position back. I tell him in front of the other 60+ homeowners that he cannot even be at the meeting, let alone vote or be on a ballot as his name is not on the property. But his mom is eligible if she wants to. And the next one is titled, "Today I screwed up by walking behind an attractive woman who was walking her dog." While attempting to get back in shape, I have started power walking and doing short stints of jogging to try and build up my stamina. Today was an especially nice day, so there were a lot of people out jogging and walking as well. As I was jogging up to an intersection, a really attractive woman with a very fit butt happened to turn the corner and start walking the way I had come. She was out walking a dog and ended up going the same direction as me. This coincidentally ended up being about the time I had exhausted myself with jogging and started talking to catch my breath. I, being a guy, couldn't help but take notice of her very nice rear end. I wasn't trying to be a perv about it, nor did I plan on saying anything rude, I was just admiring. Well, for whatever reason, I happened to look over at the large dog she was walking with and was confronted with the largest pair of dog danglers I have ever seen. The abrupt change from admiring a woman who takes amazing care of her body to these two huge furry tennis balls swaying back and forth apparently broke my mind for a short period of time. I am guessing the woman had seen me jogging away behind her as she turned the corner because she moved off into the grass and looked behind her. I imagined to let me pass, assuming I was still jogging and not realizing was now walking at the same pace as her. She saw me looking down and I could see her scowl a bit, thinking I was staring at her butt, which in all fairness I had been moments before. However, at that moment what she caught me staring at was her dog's obscenely large balls with what was probably a mixture of shock and awe. Her scowl immediately faded and she started laughing so hard she had to stop walking because she almost walked into a street sign. I was at a complete loss of how to respond and was tempted to say I was looking at her butt as if that would somehow help me salvage my dignity. She eventually regained her composure, I blurted out some sort of apology and used the newfound adrenaline to jog most of the way home. But that is not all. Later in the day I ran into her again as she was entering her apartment in the same complex as me. As it turns out, she's one of my new neighbors. FML. And guys, unfortunately we have already reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you haven't already, please also go to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where I upload exclusive Reddit videos starting at just $3 a month. This is a great way to support me in case you are interested, and the chance for me to become independent from YouTube revenue. Thank you so much for watching, please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.